Your stars playing if you would. I'm not Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Before I Do, the show that shares with you everything that you should discuss and do before saying I do. For those of you engaged, dating, want to be married, or don't know if you want to be married, you are tuned into the right place. Our goal is to facilitate courageous conversations on topics relevant to dating and relationships.
Now, this show is intended to be interactive. Yes, we said it, interactive. So make sure when we put out the call and responses, go ahead and put your opinion in the chat area. Feel free to share your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, even your questions. We are here for you. Well,
got another hot topic for you all tonight. So you gonna sing? Are you gonna sing the song?
Absolutely. That used to be my jam. What about your friends? Will they stand their ground? Will they let you down? Yeah. Where are all my TLC fans? Y'all know that song. Yes.
Can we talk about how exciting it is to see these young folk like getting into 90s fashion and music and things like that? Yeah, it is. It is pretty exciting. So,
but I'm excited. But what about your friends, right? How important are they to you? Are your friends at a level where, they move kind of from you cool to like, we're family almost, right? And so how important, I'll let you go into our first speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, so for the first question of the night, our first speak now or forever hold your peace question is it important to meet your partner's friends? Why or why not? All right, so think about that. You're dating somebody, or maybe you're engaged, right? Is it important for you to meet your partner's friends? Why or why not? Recently I was asked this question if I even thought that, is it a red flag if a person doesn't have any friends?
That's a good question. I think that
or too many friends.
Well, I think that first of all, it's important for you to meet your partner's friends, and if your partner doesn't have friends, to at least investigate why. There could be a really good reason why they don't have any friends. And just so you all know, tonight, like as we go through this topic, like there are some personal things that this topic really resonated with me in a lot of ways that are uncomfortable. So y'all are gonna get to know me in a little bit tonight, just so you all know. So you talked about the whole idea of people who may not have friends as a red flag. And I noticed, I looked up, I was a part of a group called FOUNDRY, which is sponsored by Couples Academy and amazing men's group. And I looked up and I realized that I didn't really have any friends. And because of the season of my life that I'm in, there was a growth process where some of the habits that I was trying to break, some of the things that I was trying to do, I was on a path by myself and didn't even realize that I had actually begun to make the choice that it was easier for me to walk alone than it was to actually put out the effort of looking for like-minded people. Now, obviously, the world celebrates that. I did it by myself. I pulled myself up out the mud. I pulled myself up by my own bootstraps. But that's not a good thing, because it is important for an individual to have a support system outside of just your spouse, outside of just your foundational family, individuals in the community or in places where you work that share various interests or at least trying to grow like you. So, I realized that, wow, I've become a loner, and I had never been a loner. I've always prided myself on being an individual that had friends and was friendly and had a lot of friends. But I realized that I hadn't been very friendly and hadn't shown myself as being faithful, but also it was because of a stage in life that I was in. So
okay, so I have to just call you out, because I think anyone who knows you that is watching this right now would absolutely be like, what is he talking about? First of all, he does have friends.
Yes,
right?
I do.
Many people consider him their friend.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then, yes, you show yourself friendly, right? Because to have friends, you have to show yourself friendly.
Yes.
And so I think that would be very confusing for many of the people who know you, because they consider themselves to be your friends. I think it does go back to sometimes we do get in these places, you get in these life cycles,
Yeah.
And you being a spiritual person, sometimes, God will put you in a place where he really needs you looking and focusing your eyes on him. And I do think, we want to give space and respect to that. Yeah.
And I'm glad you clarified that too. You're exactly right. And so to all the people that consider me friends and that I'm friends, I'm not saying I don't have any friends.
Don't unfriend him on social media.
Absolutely, please don't. But as we get into this tonight, we're actually going to talk about some of the different types of friends.
That's true.
And again, for me, because of the way that I came up, for me, I always define friends as a close friend, a best friend. So like for me, the fact that I wasn't really sharing and opening up to a lot of people, that it wasn't anyone that I felt like I was really intimate with the things that I was going on in my life, I felt like I didn't have any friends. So you're exactly right. It wasn't that I didn't have any friends. It was that the definition and the way that I define friend and some of the individuals that I had grown close with, it wasn't really syncing together with my original definition of how I saw a friend to be.
And you're right, because it really, the level of intimacy with your friends, it really depends, right? There's certain people that you will share your happiness, your joy, your celebrations, your win-wins, right? But then who are those people in your life that you would really share your pain? Your struggles, the things that really, that we try not to allow to keep us awake, keep us up at night. Who are those people?
Absolutely. So for those of you just joining us, tonight's show is What About Your Friends? Our Speak Now question of the night. Number one, is it important to meet your partner's friends? Why or why not? So I'm already starting to spill my guts. So do you think it's important to meet your partner's friends?
Absolutely. Because, you want to meet your partner's friends, because if the person that you're dating or engaged to, or just even considering, being in a relationship with, you want to meet the people that are an extension of who they are. The people that they trust their secrets with, the people who either are going to encourage them when they're down, or the people that are just, going to respond in some kind of way. So yeah, you want to meet these people, because these potentially are extended village members that you might one day have to go to support your relationship, support your partner, different things like that. Or people that you would just hope would be for and rooting for your relationship to work.
Absolutely. So Dr. Suzanne Degens White, who is a writer and a doctor, obviously a clinician, and has written for Psychology Today, says that it is absolutely important to meet your partner's friends. However, there is a right way to meet your partner's friends. There's a right and a wrong way. Since we own 90s, 80s, there's a right and a wrong way to go about doing certain things. And so she gives some great tips as it relates to approaching the idea of meeting your partner's friends. So we're going to share a couple of those with you all. So number one, you want to approach the opportunity with curiosity and genuine interest, not suspicion or distrust. I'm going to say it again. You want to approach the opportunity to meet your partner's friends with curiosity and genuine interest, not suspicion and distrust. Can we ring the bell, please? All right. So what that means is that you want to go into the situation, a focus on, just as Charmaine was saying, getting to know your partner better. Why is it that they have the friends that they have? What do their friends do for them? And really seeking to understand your partner better, rather than going into it with this apprehension and with these negative feelings about these individuals, and with this contentious attitude with these individuals in your partner's life.
And I think it's important to mention that, sometimes the older we get, we have to be mindful of if you're an outgoing person or you're really an introvert, because sometimes we can be in a place of judgment, with that whole suspicion is distrust. I've heard individuals say, well, you're a grown man, what you need friends for? Or, you too old to be having all of these friends. Like, what do y'all need to hang out for? And I'm like, when did, we or society decide that, you don't need friends because of your age? All right. So number two, what we want to do is we want to look for opportunities to better better understand what needs are being met through your partner's friendships, right? So what is driving these friendships? Maybe they have common interests. Maybe they like water sports. Maybe they like, going to comedy clubs. Maybe, maybe pretty much these are the people that make your partner laugh. They help your partner really get some of that, I don't know, some of that adrenaline out, and they like the excitement of sports or just traveling. You never know. But you want to uncover, how do these people add value to your partner's life?
Absolutely. And it's also too important not to necessarily try to meet or replace the individuals that are supplying those needs or driving those needs. But just as you mentioned, really just trying to better understand what it is that their friends what these relationships are doing for them, to really to complement it is a really important thing. One of the things I can speak for guys is that I don't want you to be, I want you to be my partner and my lover and my friend. I don't necessarily want to watch the game with you. Not that I don't enjoy. No, what I'm saying is there are certain things that I enjoy doing with you, and there are certain things that I specifically enjoy doing with my friends. Just that there are some things that you enjoy doing. I'm gonna say it like that you like doing with your little friends. I'm not trying. I'm not trying to be one of your little girlfriends, right? Friends. I'm not trying to be one of your little girlfriends, or as our parents used to say, one of your little friends. I'm your spouse. I'm your partner, and I have no problem playing my position. That does not mean that I'm not your best friend, but there are some things and needs in the relationship that I know that only your friends are going to be able to fill, and that's exactly right. And then the last point: view and respect your partner's various social networks. So understanding that each one of us operate within within the various networks. We talked last week about the foundational family, and also too, we're talking tonight about your friendship network. Also, you have organizational networks, professional individuals that are in sororities, fraternities, organizations. You in a bowling league. You're in a professional network as relation to your job. Why you gotta go to guns? What does what does shooting?
People belong to shooting clubs. I know a lot of people. Why you gotta
bring up guns? Don't. But the point is that with the various networks that we all are involved in, it's about understanding again how your partner experiences those things. What need is it meeting? What is it feeding? And also, what is it that they are getting from those networks? And also, what are they giving to those networks? So that reciprocity. So they are getting something from those networks, but also what are they giving as well? So what are some of the things that are being spent in that process?
That's right.
All right. So we are all into this topic of what about your friends? So we are going to come back with the types of friends, because I think it's important for us to really define exactly
what type of friends have.
Exactly. So
some people say reason, season, a lifetime, but we're going to unpack this topic. What type of friends do you have? Stay tuned and get ready to audit what type of friends you have.
We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
All right, welcome back to Before I Do, and our topic tonight is what about your friends? How important are they? And is it important to meet your partner's friends? Why or why not? Go ahead and put it in the chat area. Let us know what you think. How important are your friends to your relationship? And is it important to introduce your partner
Got a couple of feedback from the Speak Now question of the night. Lady Di says, amen. And she says that not all friends are friends.
Okay.
So apparently there's some snakes in there. Be sure to tune in next week. We're going to get into that a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So Kato says, yes, you need to know who your partner is friends with. So I believe how do you pronounce that?
I don't know.
Is that Caitlin or Ketelin?
Possibly.
So tell us why, Caitlin. I apologize if I mispronounced your name, but tell us why it's important to meet or know who your partner is friends with. We definitely think so, and it's something that has absolutely benefited us.
All right, and so we definitely want to get into what type of friends you have. So go ahead and take a moment as we unpack these 7 types of friends. Audit. What are the friends? Who are the friends that you have in your life, and which categories do these fit into? And our first category is lifelong friends, right? These are individuals who you grew up with, right? You might have took a bath with them. I don't know. You might have played to the street light came on. You might have raced pole to pole. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about, right? You might have played so well outside when you were children. Like, the elders would say, y'all smell like outside because you just were out there all day long playing with these friends.
Red light, green light.
And for modern day, I'm telling my age, but for modern day young adults, this might be a person that, you play video games with, they pretty much know your family, their family. These are people who definitely have been to your house. You invite them to holidays. I don't need to say anymore, but these are people you grew up with. All right. So they know you inside and out. They knew you, before you had your glow up. All of that good stuff. Right. So
yeah, and there's some individuals. I mean, for me, if you value loyalty, I really value history and legacy and loyalty and things like that. So the people that I grew up with that knew me, that's something that I take great pride in. But it can be a painful thing that when you grow up there, how you grow apart with certain people that you thought would be lifelong.
Okay.
You grow to a certain place in life and then you notice that your paths begin to veer off. And so lifelong is something that it sounds great as a theory, but unfortunately, not all friendships are going to be lifelong. All right. So second friendship is close friends. This is someone that you rely on and can trust completely. So it's important to have both of those components, that this is someone that you rely on, someone that you can confide in, someone that you can trust completely. So this is an individual when you have a problem, when you have a challenge, when you have an issue, this is an individual that you consider close. And as I mentioned during my opening, as relates to, for me, when it comes to my friend, I define every friend as either a close friend. This was before the idea of knowing what an acquaintance was, what some of the other types of friends we'll get into. But for me, it was lifelong, close, and then the next one that we're going to get into. So I define, so these first 3 categories, when you're younger, to be honest, I believe that children, they define their friends within these first 3 friend categories that we're talking about, which can be something that is comfortable for them, but it's dangerous as we get older, and we'll talk about why as we get into the other 5 friend components.
Got it. All right. And our next category is the best friend. People use this a lot more. A person with whom you share everything, right? The key differences between a close friend and a best friend is when something happens to you, the first person that you wish to share it with is your best friend. This is the person that, you kind of have a little bias there. It's like, nope, this is your go-to person. You consider them your best friend. So something goes down, this is the first person I'm probably going to call.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, most children, especially when we're younger, we kind of categorize our friends in one of these 3 categories. So they're either lifelong, when you're young, you're 9, 10 years old, you go to the same schools and you really don't have a whole lot of things to share. So, they're either your close friend, your best friend. I remember when our oldest daughter was growing up, we'd take her to the park. She'd go to the park, play for 10 minutes and come running back, holding some girl hand. This so-and-so, she's my best friend, baby. We've been here 10 minutes.
You don't really know her.
You just
She's not.
So a best friend is a close friend, but a close friend doesn't necessarily make them a best friend.
That's true.
And part of the challenge oftentimes too is when individuals get caught up in these titles and they're wrestling for these positions in your life of being your close friend or being your best friend. And so we want to try to avoid those situations and just make sure that we keep people in the categories that we decide to have them in, and make sure that we're utilizing them accordingly. All right. So the next friend, as we get older and we expand, we have our social group of friends. Now, these are individuals that you socialize with, but with whom you are not particularly close. So you're not necessarily particularly close to them, but you do socialize and you interact with them in social settings.
Right. So these might be people that, hey, we can go out to dance, or they might be an extension of your best friend, right? So they're friends of your best friend.
Right.
And so you guys find yourself at these parties, social gatherings, and they're cool and you're cool and we're cool. And so they're pretty much a part of your social group.
That's right. All right.
Well, you might not necessarily give them your house keys. Or
No.
right?
We don't want to do that
at all. And the next category is friends of convenience. Now, I don't think we would ever tell somebody to their face that they're a friend of convenience. Okay, but this is a category as outlined by our psychologist practitioner. So people with whom you might share carpools with, duties, youth sports, team, parents, neighborhood groups. This is the PTA. These are pretty much people you run in the same circles because of some type of something that that is an extension of maybe your children or organization, jobs, things like that. So friends of convenience.
Yeah, if you notice, these are centered around kind of duties and responsibilities. So just as you mentioned, these are the PTSA groups and individuals that, because of some of the duties and responsibilities that you have, maybe your children are involved in certain after school activities and things of that nature, you become friendly with some of the parents and other individuals that are involved. And also, we talked about social groups. These are activity friends. These are friends that you engage with specific things. So you have the individual that you work out with. You have the individuals that you interact with at church. For those of you that may be a little younger, these individuals you go to the club with and you hang out with, and that's your clubbing buddy. So these are individuals that you do certain and specific activities with.
I know. So this list is getting real deep. So hopefully you're auditing your friendship list and you're kind of realizing, how do I associate and affiliate with these individuals on my friend list?
All right. And last but not least.
All right. I feel like we forgot one, but we didn't. The last one is an acquaintance. Okay. A person known to one or casually familiar, meaning you may not even, this is just an acquaintance. So I don't know. To me, I didn't really categorize my friends as acquaintances, but I guess these are nice people. These are people who you consider to be acquaintance. Like you might vouch for them. They might be your neighbor, your next door neighbor. You might consider them a friend or an acquaintance. You see them, you guys interact, but it could be just on a, surface level. But yeah.
Absolutely. So again, Dr. Deggans White says that regardless of where you are in life, age-wise, stage-wise, or location-wise, it's important to cultivate a multifaceted network of friendships. This also invites diverse people into your life who can help you grow beyond your comfort zone and encourage you to learn about other perspectives and ways of looking at and living life. In other words, it's important as you get older, these 7 groups are types of friends that ideally you want to have individuals that fall within these various categories. It is not a bad thing to have acquaintances. It is not a bad thing to have a few close friends. And actually, when you see it as kind of a pyramid or hierarchy, when you have that best friend at the top, followed by close friends, and then your lifelong friends and things of that nature, that pyramid gets wider and wider. And what it does is it allows you to be exposed to different backgrounds, different cultures, different things that help you to expand and get a greater understanding of life.
So when we talk about why it's important to introduce your partner to your friends, right? We know that there can be some, there's obviously some benefits to that, right? Because you're able to see, if you're dating someone, you're able to see how they interact with your friends, right? You're able to see how your friends interact with them. And they should be an extension of your village, right? They should be really wanting to get to know the person you're dating because there's somebody important in your life, and vice versa. So both people have a vested interest in making sure that you're protected and that you are with someone who really cares for you and vice versa.
Absolutely. And speaking of that vested interest, that leads us right into our Speak Now question of the night, number 2. What primary categories do your friends fall into? We just talked about the 7 categories or types of friends. What would you say that your primary categories that the friends you have that they fall into? And second part of that question, what primary categories do your partner's friends fall into? So what would you say that your primary categories of the friends that you have fall into?
I definitely have lifelong friendships. And I'm going to tell you, it takes a lot of work, to have those lifelong friendships because we are all evolving. And with every different life cycle, we're all changing. And sometimes our friendships don't sustain those changes, right? Or those challenges, right? When those hard times, pressing times happen, right? We all have to work to maintain the friendship. So I do have lifelong friendships. I'm very thankful for them. And then I do have close friendships. And I know I got to a place where I was concerned to label any of my close friends best friends, because how do I call you a best friend when, wow, sometimes this is an area of my life where this is the first person I will call, one of my close friends and lifelong friends, right? Depending on if I'm going through something over here, this is the person that I'm led to call.
Right.
Not necessarily because this one is better than this one, but this one has life experience and skills in this area that I know they would be wise counsel and vice versa.
Yeah, I found that, again, for me, as I got older, I began to lose a lot of lifelong and close friends. A lot of it was because of how I was growing. And some of the things that I began to walk through, I became very, very closed off. And some of it was for my good, and some of it I was very challenged with because I considered myself a very friendly person. And so, again, because of some of the moves and some of the directions that, to be honest, that God was taking me in, I began to be moved away from some people. And it wasn't necessarily because of anything that they did. It's not that there was anything wrong with them. It was because of where I was going and some things that need to be broken off of me. And so what I noticed is that I began to get a lot of friends that were via social group. Being involved in the arts. So so doing work in the community. So we had like-mindedness as far as with community work. So a lot of my friendships were built via social group and through activities, and then those individuals went from those to now I do have some close friends. I may not necessarily, as far as lost my best friend and one of my lifelong friends last year. But again, these individuals that I met via the social group, that I've met through activities that I've been able to learn a lot from, a lot of them have become close friends. And so, yeah, it's a perfect example, again, of how we are intended to grow and evolve as it relates to the individuals that we meet in various paths and walks of life. Drake says no new friends. And apparently Dr. Suzanne Deggins White and also life tells us that shouldn't be true, that we need to be growing.
All right, we're going to go to the comment section.
Yes.
Come on, guys, give us some comments. What have you audited your friendship list? And what are you learning as you evolve and age about friendships, right? Friendships really can be an extension of your relationship, right? Is the way that you show up in your friendships the same way that you show up in your relationships, or vice versa? Yeah. Right. So either way, we're in a relationship with ourselves. We're in relation. If you have friendships, those are relationships. And then even if you're not dating right now or not interested, it's still practice in the human experience, right? And so it's still an opportunity for us to ask and audit, how do I show up when I'm connected with people? And am I using how they're experiencing me to grow?
Yep. So Lady Di actually has a really good comment, says true best friends are lifelong friends.
That's right.
But some friends are temporary depending on the relationship. We all need friends who bring value and wisdom to our life. Can we please ring the bell on that? Right. That is an absolute important point.
Value and wisdom. You better say that again. Wisdom.
So Caitlin says that as she's doing inventory, she says the majority of her friends fall into lifelong social and acquaintances. So that's really broad, jumping all the way from lifelong to social and acquaintances and individuals. Okay. Absolutely. That's okay. So that's absolutely important. And so we also
sometimes acquaintances, they can start to transition, right?
Yep.
They can transition kind of up that spectrum to become close friends.
Yeah, and Caitlin actually, not only the inventory for her, but for her partner, she says her partner has acquaintances and social friends. So really good, again, to know that. Those, again, that's an individual where if a person has lifelong close and best friends, that can be, again, does that individual have a growth mindset? Are they open again to meeting individuals and growing relationships with individuals in the professional realm and in some of their various networks? So it is something that can be used to help build a crucial conversation. All right, we have a question from Paige. Paige says, sorry, coming in late, but how do you deal with your spouse not wanting friends? So you're stuck together 24/7. I love spending time with friends, but he never makes friends, never. So,
well, definitely, Paige, this is a great question because we kind of talked about this in the beginning. There are individuals who believe that because we have come into adulting, right, that you don't need friends. Like, why do you need friends and I don't need friends either? All we need is each other. And there is a big challenge in relationships historically. We had an entire village. There's witnesses, especially when you become married. You have witnesses and you invite people to be a witness because they're supposed to be your village. And in the village, there are people that play different roles, right? You have friendships to where your friendships are supposed to allow you to have an outlet of people that can support you and provide wisdom. We are in a day and age where relationships sometimes struggle because we are putting too much pressure on our partner to be our wise counsel, to be my personal trainer. He's supposed to help me lose weight. He's supposed to help me take my braids out. He's supposed to be all of these things physically, mentally, emotionally. He's supposed to be a provider, a protector. He's supposed to be daddy of the year. Like, my goodness, if I put all of the things that I expected from him, at some point he's going to burn out. And so sometimes we do have to have courageous conversations with our partner to say, that is a lot of pressure to put on one person in your life and expect them to fulfill all of those emotional needs. I love that Danielle and Hassani of CEOs of Couples Academy, they're always talking about the power of our emotional needs and being cognizant of them and making sure that you are responsible, right, for your happiness and staying balanced in those areas. To shift that responsibility off on your partner, to be your friend, to have a listening ear. When I come home, I'm tired from work and I'm going off about work. Putting all of that on them, and we're partnering in parenting, and we're partnering in paying bills. That's a lot.
And Paige, so what you'll also find is that when it comes to, before I do, we are going to ask a lot of times, what is your why? So it's important in your courageous conversation with your partner to try to get to the why of why they are not interested in acquiring or gaining new friends.
There's a story there.
Absolutely. And so again, just like, and there are certain situations where people have been hurt by friends, and they don't want any friends. My spouse is my friend. No, well, it's important for you to have, again, relationships outside of just your spouse. The other thing is, it's important for you to continue to model and not give up your friendships.
That's true.
It's important for you to continue to model and keep the relationships going with your friends, that you're doing activities. Don't cancel your trips. Don't put off your activities. Don't forsake those friendships, because that is feeding you individually, and it's also modeling to your spouse the benefits and the importance of that. So not only are you getting to asking the why and having a crucial conversation about why they don't have friends, you're also modeling the benefits of what it looks like to have productive friendships and actually being able to live that out.
Paige, we really appreciate you for asking this question, because another question we would have as practitioners is, we love doing personality profiles on our clients. And it's important because it's possible that a lot of times in relationships, you will have one individual who's an extrovert and you have one person that's an introvert. And while both partners love being around people, the extrovert gets energy from being around people. And I don't know if that's you, right? But sometimes introverts, while they love being around people, they get their energy from their quiet time, right? And so for an introvert, they don't necessarily need a lot of friends. Introverts prefer deep relationships with fewer people. Extroverts, it's like they can have a whole list of friends. They can have 40, 50 friends, right? But to an introvert, they don't understand that. Why would you can't possibly have 40 friends, right? Deep friends. And the extrovert was like, yes, I do, because I talk to them, we reach out, we stay connected, all of that. And the introvert might think to themselves, well, they can't be genuine, authentic relationships because as an introvert, I only have 4 friends and they're deep, intimate, intellectual friendships.
Tonight, this is What About Your Friends, getting to know the influencers. We're going to take a really brief, quick commercial break. Rick, we see your question. When we come back, we're going to address it and we'll be right back. All right, everyone, you're tuned in to Before I Do tonight. We're talking about what about your friends, getting to know the influencers. Should you get to know your partner's friends? And so we got some really great comments. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Again, our questions of the night. Should you get to know, is it important to get to know your partner's friends? And also, what type of friends do you find yourself primarily having? What category do they fall in? And what categories primarily do your partner's friends fall in? Rick has a really important question. He says, what if your girlfriend has close male friends that they knew them before you, but they aren't exes? So this is that platonic, those individuals that they're platonic friendships. So it goes back to the age-old question, can men and women be friends?
Well, you know what? This goes back to culture. You know, our culture, we bring it with us in relationships, right? And so first of all, Rick, we're going to put that back on you. Do you believe men and women can be mutual friends without there being any romantic interest involved? And so I ask you that question because it really doesn't matter what we say. Your culture is going to influence how you feel about that. But to be honest, in today's society, and I'm sorry, we're from Generation X, right? We trained up our children, the young adults in their 20s, like, yes, they have friends. They have male friends, they have female friends, and they literally are disciplined in a way to, they can have those friendships. And so I believe it's possible. You know, I think that, but it goes back to, now, if Walter would have, if he would have had a female best friend, I will admit, when I was younger, I would not have liked it. I'm just telling the truth. I would not have liked it, but I also didn't see good models. I didn't see that, as something, and I didn't experience it as well. There were males who said they wanted to be my friends until they didn't want to be my friend. They wanted to be more than that. So
exactly. And what's interesting, Rick, is what we'll say is that every successful relationship is built upon trust and boundaries. And so it's whether it is same gender, whether it is different gender, it's important to have those boundaries and those expectations, and also to make sure you're maintaining transparency with your partner. Just as Charmaine was mentioning, oftentimes when it comes to that dynamic between men and women, the challenge is, well, I grow close to you, now I'm crossing a line. And once you cross that line, there is no going back. Absolutely. A boundary has been breached and has been broken, and now a trust violation has happened. And can I trust you, or can we trust us to continue to remain friends without us crossing the boundary? And so that actually leads right into our tips for tonight as relates to interacting and getting to know your partner's friends.
Absolutely. So the first tip is show up right. And so that's important to make sure that, in the interactions, you want to make sure that you're your best self, you're authentic, you be what you expect in that interaction, because you don't want to definitely give off to your partner who you're dating. You have that relationship with them, and you don't want them to think you don't trust them, right? And so especially if nothing has been done to show otherwise. So just show up right, be authentic, be yourself, and that interaction can be a great thing.
Here's what show up right means, because some of us need show up right means to arrive with good intentions and believing that everybody has the best heart for each other. Now, what that means is that when you're getting to know your partner's friends, and as you're interacting with them, assume that your partner is a good judge of character, that these individuals mean them well, and you are getting to know them because you care about your partner and you believe that they care about your partner too. That's what show up right means. Remember, we talked in the beginning about not showing up with distrust, not showing up with animosity or anything. Just you're showing up with the right intention. So number 2, accept them the way that they are. And again, whether this is gender based, this is okay. I'm dating this young lady and she got a close friend that's a male. Okay, so I'm gonna assume that it's platonic, just like they say, and they may be involved in some things, may have some habits that I don't like, may smell in a way that I don't necessarily like, but I am going to accept them the way that they are. It doesn't mean that you have to like it, but what it does mean is that you have to accept them and to know that is exactly who they are. Absolutely. And not try to change them.
And especially if these are people who've been in their lives, their lifelong friends, right? It's almost like they've become family members. So you definitely want to accept them the way they are, but it is, in fact, okay to set those boundaries. Number 3, don't worry too much about making a good impression. Just be yourself. Sometimes when we overthink it, we try to make a good impression, we can come off as stuffy and just inauthentic. And believe me, a good friend can read right through that. So show up, be your best self.
Now, number 4 is very important. Never argue in front of your partner's friends.
Oh, no.
What this does is it plants seeds within your friends about you and about the dynamic of your relationship. The idea is you want to build allies out of your partner's friends. Now, again, this goes back to number 3. You're not trying to impress them. You're not necessarily trying to get them on your side. But what you are trying to do is make sure that they are advocating for your relationship. And that's something that we keep talking a little bit, alluding to next week. Right. We're going to talk more about creating advocates and identifying individuals that are advocates or adversaries against or in your relationship.
And number 5, never engage independently without your partner's knowledge. Now, here we go. This goes back to the question, and I think the question that most of us really have concerns about, if your partner is dating someone of the opposite sex. Never engage with your partner's friend if they're not around.
Can I share my story now?
Hey.
All right. So picture it. Tallahassee, the 1990s. I was dating a young lady. And of course, I had friends. So I
was not the young lady.
Yeah, this was not. Why you gotta?
I'm not in this story.
I had a life before you. You had a life before me.
I'm just making sure the people know.
So I was in college, and I was dating a young lady. And so I come out of the dorm, and when I come out of the dorm, my girlfriend car pulls up, and one of my friends gets out of the car. So I'm immediately like, I'm not thinking Christ-like thoughts. So I'm livid. I'm like, what's going on? And so my friend says that, yeah, I called your girl to give me a ride because I needed a ride to such and such and such and such. And the first thing I say is, well, first of all, how did you get her number? Because I didn't give you her number.
Ouch.
And the second thing is, why didn't you tell me that you were asking her to give you a ride? I'm checking him about this, right? Because my girlfriend at the time, I thought that he had already run it by you. So that is a perfect example, again, of how that was a breach within my relationship with my friend.
Right.
He crossed the boundary, and he overstepped a situation in the relationship between my girlfriend and I, but it also created problems between him and I. Because if he can't respect that, and if he doesn't have the consideration for me in that situation, what else is he not going to be considerate of me of? So, you know,
and
yeah.
I'm sorry, let's be honest, some men will say, well, no, you're supposed to be loyal to him, not your girlfriend. Why did that interrupt your friendship with your why would that interrupt your friendship?
Well, it was the principle of the matter. I wouldn't have had a problem if he had gone through the right protocol. The right protocol is, again, to reach out to me and say, hey, I need a ride to so and so and so and so. Would you mind if your girl takes and drops me off or takes me to do so and so? I would have probably been like, no, you probably need to get somebody else or whatever. Or it's like, yeah, we can take you, like we can take you together.
Okay.
But no, that's not something that I want my friend alone with my girl and her driving him somewhere. So going through the proper channels and at least asking me about it would have been the proper thing to do.
Got it. And so again, it can be number 5 as a tip is a big thing.
Yes.
Make sure that you are keeping those boundaries right. And you know what? Be honest and truthful. If you're dating somebody engaged, be honest about exes or even just opposite sex friendships. You have to be honest. So if he did have an opposite sex friend before, if we started dating, I would let him know under no circumstance am I comfortable with you sharing with your female friend anything about our relationship. That is off limits in your conversation. Now that might seem a bit rigid to people, but that would definitely make me feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Hey, you all, thank you all so much for joining us for Before I Do. We talked about before, what about your friends? But guess what, you all? This is only part 1 because we got to get into part 2.
Yes, and part 2, you're going to tell them, spoiler alert.
What about your friends? Are they ushers or pallbearers? Yeah, you heard that right. So we talked about, again, getting to know your partner's friends, and hopefully you all have seen the importance of that. Now, next week, we're going to talk about, are your friends ushers or are they pallbearers? Hey, listen, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe on the Couples Academy app. Also, be sure to book us for a session.
Absolutely. So we want to get to know you and really just help you be in a better relationship with yourself. And if you're dating, go ahead and check us out. Like, subscribe to Couples Academy. This is Before I Do. I am Charmaine Jennings.
My name is Walter Jennings. Thank you all so much for checking us out. We'll see you all next week. Peace, everybody.